I think in this matchup, English more so dictates what's going to happen, more so than Ottoman. Ottoman's more of a reactive, but Ottoman does have a few options to be able to, effectively react to it. Obviously, Ottomans don't really want to stay in feudal that long, but then if there's English can go 2TC, you can go kind of a fast castle, you can go feudal all in. A lot of options from the English side. This is the map also changes things a little bit, but because of the wood line, for example, for KnockKnock, a feudal aggro play from Myriad might actually be pretty bad for him to be able to defend, especially if it's just a 1TC aggro, just to hit the wood lines with those lombos. So that could be a problem. But if he, goes for that second TC, slower kind of eco play, KnockKnock can go for the fast castle relics play kind of thing, which should probably be better for Ottomans if he's given the chance to do that. But yeah, a lot of different scenarios that could happen here.
Yeah, I think for me, Ottomans against English is kind of unique because against most, or maybe even all of the other civs, you can play Dark Age Military School with the Ottomans. If you do that with Ottomans against English, you're gonna be you're gonna get dented in pretty hard with the longbows. I made that mistake once in one of the Low Legends tournaments, where I wasn't as familiar with the Ottomans back then, and I opened with the military school just as I always did, and then you reach feudal age so much later, and then you already have 5 longbows in your base, and then you scramble for the stable, and it just doesn't feel great. And so that was a tough battle. I almost made it, I almost fought back, but just because my opponent wasn't that great. But like against a good opponent, and they're Conqueror 3 here, so they are very, very good. That's not gonna happen. And so we don't see a Dark Age military opener here by KnockKnock. He's just gonna go on a sheep for now with gold, just a classic, A3 split at the moment, and then at some point he will switch. Yeah, he's switching onto wood right now. So just a regular feudal play into then opening stable most likely. Maybe depending on what Myriad is gonna go for, whether it's gonna be the Abbey of Kings. So, yeah, nothing too crazy here.
Yeah, to add on to what you said, I think opening military school and dying to a council hall all in is probably a rite of passage for a up and coming Ottoman player, I'd say. But just exactly like you said, in theory, because right now the meta has shifted where you primarily see the Abbey of Kings, that it's actually not bad to go for the military school, but you still can't because there's always the risk that the opponent's going to be like, okay, there's a military school, I'm just going to go super all in, no gold even for upgrades, just all longbows and some spears just to protect them, deny wood, and then now you're in a horrible spot where you might not even have access to any wood. You're in feudal age, you don't have wood, and you're trying to defend the longbow all in, so it's just kind of you're dead from there. So like you said, it's just kind of a risk you can't take, or you shouldn't take in the higher elo gameplay. And you'll never see a good player open military school in these situations against English with that risk.
Yeah, it's definitely a super high risk. And then the thing is also on a map like that, so Basin also very exposed resources. Like there's the berries are almost all of them are outside to see. The gold is outside, the stone is outside. I mean, you have a couple lombars here. You deny everything basically, and so it's really risky on a map like that if you don't start super close to the resources to do something. And on the other base, it's the same thing. Berries outside, gold is outside, stone is outside, and so you can't really do that. And then even if you go for a later for a patch for meta that was used in earlier patches, you even didn't even go for military schools up until you're in Castle Age because you want to rush Castle and then you start military schools. And so that has shifted a little bit, and so we see he's with 3 villagers on stone, nothing on gold right now, so he is opening with the military school. Now in feudal, Sipahi is his choice, which amazing unit, of course. At some point he'll add a blacksmith in, Yeah, so second military school and then a blacksmith somewhere here probably, and then he'll have a faster production, and that's a good choice. And the Sipahi is even kind of dealing okayish against the king as well, because Sipahi have a lot more health than regular horsemen, and a little bit more damage as well, and so um, yeah, they're dealing okay with the king, and they will be able to repel the initial attack from the king as well, at least.
Yeah, and we do see it's a relatively new thing that is the Pro Scouts medal, right? That even English goes for that Pro Scouts, and we do see notice that KnockKnock kind of scouted that there was no longbow rush or anything like that, and then he transitioned immediately to get up his military schools. Now this is one way you can play it, because feudal age military schools are not the most amazing in terms of eco, but it's still not bad. It's still free units. It's still kind of what the Ottomans are supposed to do. Now I don't know if KnockKnock's also going to go for the it's a good dive in terms of the king. Well, he'll survive because he's a chunky boy, but that's the thing about English. And this back in the olden days where it didn't have a free king, you are more likely to kind of be free to do what you want in terms of put a bunch of villagers on gold, get your eco upgrades, or go up the castle or stuff like that. But right now, when you don't have any units, you kind of stuck to food and gold, or food and wood rather, while you kind of figure out how to deal with the king. Behind that, of course, English does whatever it wants, which is why we do see this landmark Abbey of the King so often now.
Yeah, I personally prefer it because for one, you have access to the king, which you cannot get otherwise. And so with the with the council hall, you do get like a super quick production of the longbows, but you do get longbows either way. It's nothing, in a sense, it's nothing special. With the Abbey of Kings, you do get a unique unit that you don't get access to otherwise. And then against aggressive civs, it's really nice to have the Abbey of Kings as well, because any injured villagers, you just put them like underneath the Abbey of Kings and heal them up again. And so overall, I think it's very nice to have that kind of unique buff for the English.
Actually, if KnockKnock were to turn around a little faster with that second spot, he might still be able to get it.
Very nice around here.
Yeah, King's gonna go down. Yeah.
Wow, that was a nice move here by KnockKnock. And yeah, so as you mentioned, the first king is free, but the second is not, and so you actually do have to spend 200 resources. It's still okay. I mean, like you do get a knight, and so it's not super expensive. But you of course you would love to avoid that if possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in terms of stats, it's not as good of a knight, but it's also not 40 food more. It's cheaper, right? So, and obviously it heals the units around it. And Myriad's going in some horseman spearman comp. In that situation, you probably definitely want the king out and about. So we do see Myriad queuing that second. Or the replacement king, if you will.
Yeah. So Henry II is entering the battlefield here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing. Like in that kind of comp, a really nice buff for the horsemen, who otherwise would get obliterated by the Sipahi. Because like if you look at the HP, as well as the damage, that's 30 health more, 3 damage more. You can't really contest that just by using the horsemen, but if you're adding spears and then you also add the healing factor, then now we're talking. So yeah, again, like I like the king, I like the meta, I like that the Abbey of Kings also is, it shifted from being the Abbey of Memes to an actual landmark that actually gets used in maybe not 50% of the games, but in a lot of games nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
So that feels nice.
When I first started playing it, AOE4, I think the only ever instance where I encountered the game was when I first opened the game. There was a tutorial of how to play the game, and there was the Abbey of Memes landmark right there, and I was like, oh, it looks like a interesting landmark, and I never saw it again until the king, made an appearance. But exactly, we do see KnockKnock going, clicking up as we speak. Myriad's also going to click up just right now. Of course, he goes for the King's Palace. Now, KnockKnock was able to get the 2 military schools pretty early, but now Myriad has Pro Scouts, and he's going to have that second TC as the age up, a nice and safe location in the back for his wood line. So in this situation, Myriad's probably doing okay, granted that he got a good amount of deer, which it looks like he did, and he's going to continue to get those deer. Depends on what KnockKnock's going to go for in the Castle Age. Is probably going to be a relic play, or is it going to just be maximizing those military schools?
Yeah, I mean relic play. It kind of depends on the vizier point usage, I would say, and that's another benefit that you get by utilizing the military schools kind of early on, is that you get your vizier points a little bit quicker than you would otherwise. And so I don't know what he chose as vizier points.
It looks like he chose the pretty standard Anatolian Hills for that extra sheep, extra food, and the extra mining speed, of course. Yeah. Now he does have a second point right now, and we do see him going for that military school. So it looks like KnockKnock is going to be pretty relying pretty heavily on his military schools as his form of eco, his way of getting ahead, kind of thing. Now it's good. I think it's just going to come down to kind of fights and relic control at this point, because military schools are not bad, but we do have to remember it's Pro Scouts plus the second TC from the landmark. So the English might be more inclined to scale better. We didn't see a fight in the middle though. This many Sipahis plus 2 knights is going to be really good. So I think Myriad probably should. But he does have some reinforcements coming in. 2 knights. Still, I mean, these are still Sipahi, like you said. They got pretty good stats to come to take this engagement.
And they are still feudal, so he does have a couple lancers here, but he still has only feudal Sipahi, so they're not as impressive anymore. But then again, we're like mainly having scouts here, so it's just a couple of meat shields here, and not really doing a whole lot otherwise. And I think relics in general are underutilized, at least in lower levels, because I mean, if you think about how much free gold that is, it's pretty crazy to not use. I mean, I've seen people like building farms around it, and it just sits there for like 25 minutes, and like just pick it up, like you want to have it. Like, why don't you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to be fair, they're not as exciting as other things in the game. So as a proponent of the only thing that's important is making units and having exciting fights. I'm just kidding, but that's kind of how it feels sometimes. Relics are they need focus, they need some discipline to be able to get that. We do see a fight in the middle again with those knights. Now Myriad, I think the idea is that just to kind of take some fights, and then, of course, these are knights, right? He's going to come back and heal them. So he is happy to take some engagements and, trade some health, although he's kind of losing some. It looks like both players are going for the knights. We still don't have any eco upgrades for KnockKnock. That is one situation that probably is important. We do have wheelbarrow and double broadocks for the English, which is probably the 2 most important upgrades for English. Now, having said that, KnockKnock is going for a second TC to kind of offset the landmark, so he might be in a decent position at this point, because it's 2 relics for KnockKnock, 3 or third one picked up just now, as opposed to only 1 picked up for Myriad. So it might be a pretty decent situation for KnockKnock in terms of eco, and we have to remember that if it goes to late game, Ottomans have a lot of one of the relics get sniped out from KnockKnock. Ottomans have a lot of options in terms of siege by the way of the Great Bombard, and so, some options to deal with English late game.
Yeah, and the second TC also opens up the way for the Pax Ottomana to be used. So one of the special vizier points that got added last patch, Vololo attempt here. So big fight, and Myriad needs to retreat here. 1 spearman gets converted. So, well, yeah, that was a quick, short-lived conversion here for this 1 spearman. He didn't really get to taste the Ottoman way that much.
Yeah.
And again, we're seeing sprinkles more and more being utilized, especially with the latest patch and the latest buff that they received. I mean, they're not super great against the knights, of course, but they're super good against the spearmen, so they will do a lot of damage here.
Now, one thing I will say is that KnockKnock is continuing to produce Sipahi from his military schools. The Sipahi veterancy has not been upgraded still, so there was maybe 10 or 12 or however many Sipahi that could have been dealing so much extra damage in that fight. So that's pretty big value loss. We do see a wall to kind of protect himself from KnockKnock, and just as I say that, some knights find some villagers that are building the walls. There's some long distance stone gathering being done, but maybe is that for a third TC or what's happening there?
I don't know if I would like a third TC Ottoman play. Actually, I mean, with the Pax Ottomana getting, is it like 2 minutes and you get like 100% more speed or something? Like, you get a lot more villager production at least, and so that could be with a third TC that would be even stronger, obviously. But I don't.
Yeah, we don't have the super fancy cow gadgets on our casts right now. If we had, we would be able to show the exact points. But I will say, and I hope the viewers trust me on this, that the third point is actually the Advanced Academy is just going on for, I think, knights from the military schools, although he hasn't switched it over yet. The Pax Ottomana, like you said, it's actually, I think, yes, it's villagers train 50% faster for 4 minutes. So obviously in the 2 TC scenario, it would be a lot more, valuable for that point. But it looks like, like I said, KnockKnock is just really heavily relying on his military schools to make some units. Now, all his military schools are still Sipahi, and the Sipahi veterancy has still not been upgraded. I'm a little upset right now.
Yeah, the thing is, okay, now he is actually like he started upgrading it for 20 seconds ago. So he is actually upgrading it now. So he will get the veteran Sipahi, because to your point, I mean, like, all the military schools, all 4 are on Sipahi production still, which I believe is the most cost efficient production that the military schools can have. In terms of like how long it takes versus how much the unit would cost in reality. So it does make sense to still go for Sipahi. They're super fast, they're super strong. A little bit slower than regular horsemen though, but other than that, just amazing units overall. But yeah, I mean, only amazing if they have the current tech. As I'm saying that, now we have the veterancy in.
I think KnockKnock heard me. He realized how passionate I was and how upset I was, so he immediately queued that upgrade. Like you said, they're just ever so slightly slower than a regular horseman, but they can still do horseman things like chase down a scout and everything like that. So it's, we do see a keep in the middle actually to secure a big gold, which is pretty important for KnockKnock. Now KnockKnock's going for that mass cavalry approach with Springles. And Myriad's going for a pretty diverse army, longbow, spearmen, crossbows, and knights. So I'm kind of interested to see how this will go, because obviously the Springles are very strong right now. We do see some Sipahi in the middle getting caught off by some spearmen and some ranged units, losing a lot of Sipahi. KnockKnock is, but thankfully we're getting them for free, although that for free is kind of our eco help as well, because the villager difference is 78 to 63 or 64 right now, and you don't need to be in front as Ottomans for your villagers, but you do have to use your units pretty effectively, right? And we do see Myriad actually clicking up to with Wingard Palace.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Imperial Age English is just super annoying to deal with their enclosures, granting a lot of free extra gold for your farm transition here. It is nice for KnockKnock. So he found the age up here. He killed at least a couple villagers. He delays it a little bit, and now he can properly react. He has enough gold. He is on his way sort of with food production, And so he can, yeah, just step off a little bit with the production. He still has a little bit of free production, of course, with the military schools. I mean, not super massive, but military schools and a Macbeth armory, Imperial armory, producing some free Springles. That's a lot of Springles actually. 9 Springles currently. And then
Yeah, and he's not too behind the age up as well. The only problem that I foresee might happen is that the Wingard, what was it? The Footman, the what's it called? The Man at Arms equivalent. Doesn't it get extra bonus damage against cavalry? That might be a problem in this comp, because you do have a lot of Springles, which obviously are going to be great against melee units, but Myriad's actually, you know, mixing in some ranged units, and he's even upgrading his crossbows. So those can actually snipe out some of the Springles, and then the cavalry might be a, you know, have a hard time versus those footmen. But he's actually going for the Rangers. He's just going to go for that, which this is another way to deal with the Springles, by the way. If you shoot him from 50 miles away, then don't have to worry about him, is which approach the Myriad's actually going to go for, it looks like.
Yeah, which is the Wingard, wait, where is it? There it is. The Wingard Rangers, they are super annoying to deal with. And again, I mean, like, English late game, even without the Wingard units, is annoying as it is, and it gets even more annoying if you add in the Wingard units. So in a sense, like, that's the moment where you kind of appreciate the Berkshire a little bit more, even though it's probably one of the most hated landmarks overall in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, Myriad's actually building the keep offensively to deny the big gold from KnockKnock, which looks like it's going to be a kind of siege situation or siege fight at this point. KnockKnock has that one great bombard at this point, and he also has, I don't know if he get that, let me check if he get that from the, I don't think he would. Oh, actually he did use a Vizier point to actually get that great bombard, so that's a Vizier point. Right. That has been used. Obviously, he's going to start getting those free bombards from the MIA, but he actually has the Rebaldiquins queued from the MIA right now. So a lot of interesting siege, you know, decisions right now. One thing I will say that KnockKnock's not actually fully walled. It might be a bit of a concern in terms of cavalry run-bys, but yeah, like I said, he's going for that range units in terms of the Rangers. It looks like, let's see if there's more in queue. It's just kind of going to be mass range units, it looks like, to snipe out the siege. Now, you can snipe out the great bombards, you know, but the Springles are going to be pretty melting versus those range units.
Yeah, and so he is actually going for the Wingard army, which, you know, 2 spearmen, 2 crossbows, and then a trebuchet, which is, if you look at the cost, it's insane. So the cost value is incredible with the Wingard army, and then you get the trebuchet, which is gonna be very helpful, of course, to deal with the keep here, and then just, you know, further push into your opponent's base. And once this keep is gone, you can push on. There's the other gold that the Ottomans are on right now. And so you can just slowly but surely starve your opponent off of gold, and yeah, Ottomans might not need as much gold as other civs, for example French, but they do need gold. I mean, at the end of the day, they also need gold. They also like gold, and I don't expect trade on this map. I mean, you could, but the markets are in fine positions, but they're also like kind of like in the middle of the map, so you really need to have map control if you want to set up a trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think KnockKnock put himself in a pretty good position in terms of gold. Now, Myriad is pretty proactive with that. You do see the well-established plan to kind of deny gold. He does have 2 knights patrolling up on the northern gold vein, and he does have some units going into KnockKnock space. Oh, it's just going to be a few spears just to kind of scout things out, or he might go in. But he might be a little, you know, he might kind of, if KnockKnock turns around and kind of focuses the entire thing, his army to that, the raiding party, it might be problematic. Now, some supply here on that trebuchet is getting healed very passionately, and it looks like it's going to survive just... Oh,
Wow.
oh
Nope.
no, it goes down.
Yeah, that basically exploded right now, and KnockKnock was able to kill a couple of villagers here as well for Myriad, from Myriad rather, and so
Yeah.
that keep is gonna survive another day. And let's move into the base. So we have a lot of army here, or not as much anymore, for Myriad moving into the base under the second town center. And just look at all the siege units here by KnockKnock. Just the Ottoman dream here.
Yeah, I think after he saw some of the Rangers and some of the range units, KnockKnock immediately changes the MIA to Great Bombard instead, because you already have Springolds, so Rebaldaquins are another unit that you probably don't want just versus mass range units. You just, at this point, you just want to, like, 5-6 Great Bombards, and at that point it's really hard for the opponent to really do anything, especially because you have now a ranged mass of about 25-26 crossbows. They're also upgraded, just to, because you anticipate Myriad going for that classic English men-at-arm transition. Now he has a lot of spears right now, but it's kind of just natural from the enclosures and the food that you get from those farms, right, to go for that mass man-at-arm play. He's getting armored shads, and the one thing that I actually did want to say is that KnockKnock has 3 relics, which are pretty helpful in this situation. The only thing that he hasn't got tight barns just yet. That would be a pretty important thing to get, especially because you're pretty stacked up on relics.
Yeah, tight barns is one of those amazing techs that it's like forgotten so quickly about. But it pays off very fast, especially if you have a couple of relics and not just one. So yeah, with siege here against the keeps, Ottoman keep is gonna fall shortly, but then there's so many sprinkles still standing and wiping out almost all of Myriad's army here. Keep is gonna be enough here to prevent those units from marching any further, but then we also have the Great Bombard here doing what they can do.
You have 2 on the
best.
field right now, Great Bombards. One's on the way, of course. But KnockKnock's looking in a great position right now. Like I said, once you get into this situation of the late game, we only have 2 Great Bombards out on the field right now. But once you have a few of them, it's going to be really hard for English to really do anything, even with those ranged units. Now, you can snipe away some Rebaldaquins. You can snipe away some, what's it called? Springolds, but you're not going to be able to snipe the Great Bombards as effectively, especially with that university upgrades that come in. I don't know. Actually, he's getting that right now. The siege works, which should help in this, back and forth siege situation. The keep does go down, but this is kind of just the central position. KnockKnock's also getting some stone walls, because why not? He can afford it. Actually, KnockKnock is the one that probably should be able to raid a lot more effectively and do a lot more damage, with the Sipahi especially. Now, Sipahi is actually, in my opinion, even better than Knights or any other cavalry in terms of raids because of the special ability, right? Oh,
Yeah.
The Springald's going a little too ambitious.
Yeah, I think the special ability Fortitude doesn't get talked about a lot, but yeah, especially in a raid situation where you don't expect melee damage to come in, as in a raid where you usually, like, it may not even be detected in time. Really great situation to be in. The trebuchets from Myriad, by the way, tried to snipe away the Great Bombards and did a lot of damage as well on them. But villagers were being pulled to heal them up or repair them in a way. Not really heal them, it's not an organic unit, I hope.
Yeah, I think Myriad's going. I'm sure he has that upgrade, right? What was it? What was it? Projectiles or something?
Projectiles or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually doesn't have it yet. So even if he were to have it, this would even be more effective. So
yeah,
actually, trebuchets might be able to do well. At this point, it's not enough because you can heal and you have 3 Great Bombards. Eventually, they're just gonna get sniped away. But maybe once you have those that unique upgrade, the scattering projectiles, you might have a little bit more of an AOE damage to try to snipe out some like made at home. What's it called? Nest of bee effect, if you will.
Yeah, the shattering projectiles is super annoying tech. I remember a game where I was playing against English, and they had like in a multiplayer game, and they had that, and like you just see it like from. It feels like 20 range. Someone shoots at you, and you're complete like all your archers like fall down, and they're dying, and you're like, what exactly happened? And super
Yeah.
annoying to deal with them. The issue also what the trebuchets do have against the great bombers is that they're not they're not hitting every time they're actually shooting, you know, they're firing, and so we just saw the great bombard. They would have destroyed at least one of the bombards if they would have hit every single time, but they don't. And so that's why, like, one of the reasons why they're not the greatest way to deal with them. And now we're having 4 on the field, 1 more in queue. So KnockKnock switched from Revolver Quins completely into the great bombards. And it's I mean, looks
Yeah, I mean, definitely the right call in terms of because remember the great bombards are essentially bombards with the mango ability to them, if you will. Like I said, now that you have 4 bombards and another one coming out, and you're definitely in a great position economically in the late game with 3 relics. You're just going to be able to kind of slowly push the English back and to secure the goals. Now, right now, kind of a how the turntables situation. Myriad's actually the one without any gold access, so he has this little gold vein in the south that KnockKnock's not really thinking to check, but there's not even space for all these workers to mine, and there's only 1,000 left on there. So once that's out, that's it. Yeah, look, KnockKnock's in a great position right now. Only a matter of time. How do you, as English, how do you even do anything versus this army, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you could try. I mean, there's a lot of Janissaries as well. And so in a way you could try and go up there with horsemen, but then again the Janissaries are there, so it's kind of tough to deal with that. You could try as we do as it does with the trebuchets, go up with the trebuchets against the Great Bombard, but then again it's a slow shot. It doesn't hit every single time. He does. He doesn't have a siege workshop anymore, so I can't. Does he have the? I can't check if he has the shattering projectiles, but I assume he
Myriad's going for this. Oh,
Ooh, that's
Ay,
work.
ay, ay.
Yeah.
I think like 12 villagers has gone down with a single shot there. The keep went down.
Yeah. Well,
The
I mean,
villagers are going down.
to answer your question earlier, like this is not the way to deal with the bombers.
I mean, I understand in some level you don't really have money options. You just lost all of your villagers.
Wow.
And GG gets called. I mean, it definitely can be frustrating in that situation. And maybe, I mean, I don't know. Of course, this is kind of a hindsight is 2020, but with that wood line, maybe a feudal play might be good. But the meta right now just seems more, you know, pro scouts into second TC. The problem is the earlier stages of the game, English is so much more favored in terms of the army composition and the feudal ability to kind of fight. In the later stages of the game, Ottomans has a lot of way of balancing the eco and kind of even if you're down on the villagers, you know, getting relics, getting that second TC, using those points, you know, a lot of flexibility that you can have with those Vizier points and kind of course, eventually getting that ball of the bowling ball boys, as I call them, the great bombards, which you don't really have anything to do versus them. You need a lot more kind of. I think one way is probably Nest of Bees is probably the only way you can do it. But I don't know if anything English has, because like you said, you can't go horsemen, right? Siege is supposed to be countered by horsemen, but when you have all those Janissaries, you can't really go horsemen, and you kind of in a tough position.
Yeah, I think as you said earlier, with the Vanguard Rangers or with longbows in general, that would be a possibility. But then again, you would have to have I don't know, like 50 of them, and then you're running into the issue that you have more units that you can actually like comfortably fit inside the battlefield. And you know, in order to actually get to your opponent, and then your opponent also has Sipahi, so it doesn't feel great to go
Yeah.
with the longbows, and so it's very tough. I don't know if there's like a winning composition for English in that situation, and so I think also I agree with you that a feudal play might have been a better call.
It looks like we have Delhi for KnockKnock and French for Myriad on EGC Lipany. Of course, the playable Lipany, as I like to call it, because some of those spawns on ladder are not ideal to say the least. But EGC Lipany, hopefully there'll be some space to operate, some raids, some Ghazis, and some French raids. Now, in this matchup, Delhi is usually favored, kind of historically, just because of the amount of units that you can kind of produce. But since the Pro Scouts meta, French is able to obviously get the Pro Scouts much quicker than Delhi. So it has kind of the advantage in securing deer earlier in the game. And of course, knights against Ghazis in the early stages of the game could be problematic in terms of Ghazis, but you kind of want mass number of Ghazis, right? Before you can hit that number, French has secured a lot of deer, so it's actually quite even in this situation, I'd like to think.
Yeah, and so the thing is also since the meta shift for Delhi with more moving into the House of the Dome of the Faith, they also like the spearmen that the Delhi will get also got weaker in a sense, or like to the vanilla version, and not getting the 20% attack speed bonus. So I think that also contributed a little bit to the fact that French is doing a little bit better now against Delhi. The Ghazi Raiders, they do bonus damage against the heavy armored units, against the knights, but yeah, you need to have the right amount of units, and if it's like a 1-to-1 fight in a situation, then of course the Royal Knight will still win. But so the delay is over. KnockKnock on the south side of Lipany in orange, playing Delhi against French. Myriad in blue, starting off with, I mean, yeah, just a regular build here on killing all the sheep, then going on gold. KnockKnock starting with the berries and then getting all the upgrades, as you should. So first going for the exposed resources before then moving on to the sheep, just to, you know, if there's any early aggression from the French, which soon, of course, there will be. I'll pause real quick just to let the game catch up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that you probably would like that famous cow-sheep counter or tally feature, because sheep does matter quite a bit in this matchup. I mean, you're gonna go for Pro Scouts, right? But sheep is always the good old safe under TC food that we all love. Like you said, you're not gonna have the Delhi Spears and Archers Tower of Victory in this meta. And there was a slight nerf to Dome of Faith with the cost. But I think I remember, I'm not sure who it was, but some of the pros were saying that it's not actually, that like Delhi playstyle is, a lot of people play it in the old style of Tower of Victory, kind of super aggro in the feudal age. A lot of people being me, and it's not in this situation. It's probably not what you want to do, especially in this matchup. You actually want to. I mean, you do want to make units. You want to fight over some, sites and situation like that. But you actually want to look to castle, because with the Dome of Fate, you're gonna have a lot of scholars, and those upgrades kick in so quick. And I mean, they're free, and they take a little longer than if you're paid, but remember, you're queuing everything, so you're gonna obviously get a huge tech advantage. You might have a little bit of vulnerability, but when you get that tech advantage, it's just kind of so brutal for the opponent. And remember, with all those scholars, you're also gonna kind of vacuum up the relics. And in this map, the relics are kind of a nice formation down the middle, so are the sacred sites. So it's pretty. I do have to say the deer on the one side of the map for both players are pretty close by, so a lot of the fighting are probably going to happen on the right side of the map, I imagine.
Yeah, pretty much. You have all the food on the right side. You have a couple of berry patches on the left side as well, but double deer, double berry patches on the right side. There's a ton of gold there as well. And so we could see a lot of extended fighting there on the right side. I mean, there's also one of the sacred sites, although I could imagine that KnockKnock might emphasize more the middle one and then just take the left one and kind of skip the right one anyway. We're gonna see. But yeah, I 100% agree with you that they usually are looking for like more castle play and really utilize that, and maybe even like maybe even a fast imp if they can afford it, if it's not too risky, for that fact, because otherwise without the house of the Dome of the Faith, like it takes 15 minutes to get the upgrades, but if you have enough scholars it doesn't take that much. And then you have it for free, and it's super strong, and then you get the elephants and all that. I mean, you know what we love about Delhi.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in this matchup, it might be a little bit risky to go fast in, but especially because of the gold positioning on this map. We have two big golds, of course, in the kind of mid-section of the map, and there's a bunch of small golds in there. We do have two safe goals in our own base, as is standards, but when we're talking about things like fast imp, the food and gold situation gets a little dicey, especially against French, where a lot of knights are going to be roaming around. And this is the new French, right? This is the Pro Scouts French, which is quite strong. You know, KnockKnock scouting looks like standard Pro Scouts play, nothing different. We'll see what KnockKnock goes with. We do see a stable, so it's going to be a standard kind of Maskazi situation. The first knight is moving towards the base, and it looks like I don't know if KnockKnock is aware of his location, or it could be dangerous, especially on the gold.
Yeah, so the gold is exposed, and the knight is charging in.
Right? Oh, nice.
He is getting one of the villager kills, so KnockKnock needs to run here. And now we have the Ghazi Raider charging in. But yeah, again we have one knight against one Ghazi. Not gonna be great for the Ghazi. We have more Ghazis in queue. Now we have one more, and yeah, with the scholar being in the stable, 13 seconds for the Ghazi Raider is very fast. So he can mass up the Ghazis quite quickly, and it's gonna be interesting to see how much he is gonna emphasize the Ghazi mass production, or if he's like, you know what, I'll do like the bare minimum in a sentence, and then focus on getting to Castle Age.
Yeah, but right now, I mean, this is the power of French right now, right? You made one knight, another one's Q, but you made one knight, you have 5 total scouts. Your opponent doesn't even have pro scouts halfway done, and he had to prioritize that above horticulture, which you know, Delhi, you probably don't want to do just in general, but you have to in this situation because you're fighting over a deer. Now, as we say that, only with one knight, you've gotten a villager kill, you've gotten half of the pack, or even more than half of the pack of your opponent. So if you look at the KnockKnock's deer, it's mostly gone in terms of first pack, and he's gonna be not happy to learn that. It's only from one knight. Now we do see the Ghazi's kind of counter-attacking, but at this point, he just kind of lost. This is what I was talking about. The earlier timing of the Pro Scouts, it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and then also, like, he didn't even lose the Royal Knight here, so he can just pull him back, get Chivalry if he as soon as he has enough knights, so it's actually valuable, and then he can just heal it up again. And you also force your opponent to invest so much into the Ghazis just to repel that one little attack there. So yeah, a very strong opener here for Myriad. And how many deer he already gathered? That's just insane. Like, you see this like constant train of deer here. Like, this is huge, and so definitely looking good for Myriad right now. Also, due to the fact, okay, he killed one villager. He also is French, has more villagers on the field, and so right now looking not too bad for Myriad.
Yeah, KnockKnock just had his pro scouts complete, and now he's gonna start getting deer. But yeah, I mean, it just feels bad. I'm not even sure you're gonna be guaranteed to get all your own deer. I mean, having said that, you don't have more than half of your first deer pack, but I mean, Myriad's just gonna have so much more food, and he's going into archers, and he's going to 2 stables, so it's gonna be primarily knights, and then some archers kind of deal with those spears in small numbers, which is a good call in the situation. Now, the Ghazis are dealing with the knights pretty well, but just in terms of scaling economy, yeah, Myriad is doing pretty well. Of course, you do have the scholars, but it is 9 minutes, or yeah, 9 minutes, and we don't have any sites. You know, and we're gonna have not as much deer or as much food as we need or we're used to as Delhi, which is pretty brutal for Delhi. And the sheep count is nothing to be like. There's not a lot of sheep to fall back on, right? So you need those outside food sources, and all of the berries are forward. The only berry that's in the back, a little safe, is Myriad, and ironically, he doesn't really need that much food because he's got a ton of game coming in, wild game, and he's going to be able to kind of put a lot of pressure with those knights.
Yeah, and I mean, so it is nice to pull out the scholars and be able to heal up the units here for KnockKnock, so that is gonna be very important to have that going for you. But in terms of numbers, we have like as many Royal Knights as we do have Ghazi Raiders, and so that, or even more now by now. So that doesn't feel good, and then we already have the counter to the Spearmen, and so if KnockKnock gets a ton more Ghazi Raiders, then he can definitely make it work, because again they do extra bonus damage against heavy armored units, and so they kind of deal okay with the Royal Knights, but not if the numbers are comparable, which currently they are still.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if they take up straight up a fight, maybe, oh, that's gonna be a big charge. A few charges hit, but you just need. He has 10 archers, and that's plenty, because your main kind of enforcers are like the damage dealers are your knights, right? And you have 12 of them. The opponent really only has 7 spears, and the 10 archers are gonna do quick works of them, and that's kind of the reason why KnockKnock's not able to come out and get some sights. And he's actually mining a lot of gold. I think he's trying to look for castle. The problem is, in this situation, you're gonna get castle, and your food is going to be dicey, to say at the least, because there's gonna be those first berries with 1 tower that's gonna be exposed. The very next food source is that very forward berries as well. So, not a great position for KnockKnock. He's trying to raid, trying to kind of run by with those Ghazis, but. Myriad just has to kind of put pressure on all the food sources, and KnockKnock's not really. Yeah, he has to run away, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think Myriad anticipated KnockKnock going around, so he actually was able to catch off guard one of the Ghazi Raiders. Yeah, now he's moving on to the food, so KnockKnock needs to run away from the berries. And that's a tough position to be in. You don't have any food inside your base. I mean, you could go for farm transition. He kind of does have the wood for that. He's macroing for castles, so we're gonna see House of Learning coming up now. And one thing I wanted to point out, I mean, before the Ghazi Raiders, if we remove them from the equation right now, there's basically no vision at all here for KnockKnock. He doesn't know anything about what's happening inside his opponent's base. I mean, he can guess it's French. He's probably not gonna go fast castle, but he doesn't really know a whole lot other than yeah, that his opponent is French. So that's a tough position to find yourself in.
Yeah, I mean, the moment the age up kind of hits, if Myriad just dives, he's going backwards to deal with the Ghazis a little bit. I would ignore the Ghazis and just kind of a few knights in the back, because it looks like he's pulling most of the knights back. You just want to kind of dive, I think, and so Myriad is thinking exactly that, because it's a pretty greedy. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of a decision, right? You're in a bad spot regardless. But he does queue an elephant, so that could help. But 1 elephant against 17 knights. Granted, a lot of knights are kind of chasing the Ghazis around, which is probably good for KnockKnock, but still, it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of do need to do that because otherwise the Ghazi Raiders could actually move in and try to kill villagers, and so you need to chase them with something. So I do understand that he pulled a couple of them, and his main force, let's not mistake that, still is in front here. Now we have a lot of spearmen. Archers tanking the town center fire, so he's gonna lose most, if not, yeah, all of his archers.
Yeah, the archers are.
So the positioning is terrible here, but at the same time it's a ton of idle time. 25 right now, 17 still, and he's still doing a lot of damage here with the knights. There's one super low health, so he can pull that away if possible. And he's going up with the Royal Institute as well. So he's gonna have his bloodlines here pretty soon.
No, the Wolo just grabbed a knight on the top.
Did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got an orange knight on the east side.
That's fun.
Anyways, but the main, I mean, we do have a Royal Institute coming up. Actually, KnockKnock was able to take basically no damage, deal a bunch of damage in the way of killing the entire archer mass from Myriad. So yeah, KnockKnock is able to get scot-free almost. We probably don't want to lose a lot of these knights before the... It's funny because both players don't want to take that fight, but I think it's kind of... You know, Myriad wants to wait for that upgrade, and then even if he takes it though, Myriad, he probably would have been able to do pretty well in terms of against those spears. Now, KnockKnock's been collecting relics behind this, and like I said, on the other side, Myriad was trying to deny that relic, but gave away a knight for his trouble. So KnockKnock is doing pretty well in the relics department. He's actually coming back into the game, especially like I said, once you have these techs, right? Myriad does spot these spearmen, and he's probably going to be able to clean them up.
Yeah.
And at that point, then it's also another problem because these are going to be royal bloodlines pretty soon.
I love that 0 health knight here. I mean, I know that's just how the game calculates stuff, but I mean 0 health is pretty good. You can't get much lower than 0 health, I would imagine. And yeah, so as we just saw, the knights not really getting countered by the spearmen just because of the number difference here. Almost able to go in here, but then there was this hero tree saving KnockKnock's base, and now we have the elephant moving onto the knights here. But I mean, yeah, again, like we have one in queue, one on the field. That's not really gonna be enough unless we have a couple of scholars in the back healing it up. We could see another Vololo attempt here actually, or is he just gonna try to snack the relic on time? Okay, he's just moving back.
Yeah, I think that he just wants a relic for versus the archers because he got that one knight. He's not looking for more. KnockKnock, I will say, has been doing a very excellent job of raiding in terms of raiding the gold, especially idling out that gold. A lot of these villagers are very low health. Now Ghazis are not. So if another raid comes through, we might lose a lot of villagers, a lot more than 3.
Yeah, definitely. And then also another thing that he did a really good job with. I mean, yes, he all the sacred sites got decaptured, but he has 5 relics, so it's gonna be a 5 relic deli. So even without the sacred sites, you're still gonna be fine in terms of your passive gold income. So definitely a good job. I mean, I would say, even though I still see Myriad in favor, especially because of the villager lead, KnockKnock has been doing a fantastic job here to try to even the playing field, getting some villager kills, getting some raids here, getting the relics, walling off on the left side. So yeah, definitely not giving up easy on this one.
With that keep up on the berries getting cut off, so a lot of build kills coming in.
And it was really close.
You gotta pull back those.
So unfortunate.
Yeah, 2 knights. Yeah, like you said, actually, KnockKnock has definitely been doing a great job in surviving, and not only surviving, but kind of gaining some advantage. Now the Ville difference is problematic. Of course, it's French, but you probably don't want to. But we got to remember, it's not Guildhall, right? It's the Royal Institute, and
Yeah.
we do have the Royal Bloodline, so the straight-up fight might be a little difficult to take. But if you kind of hold off, and you're able to, we do see, like, this is the problem, right? The food
Yeah.
is just gonna constantly be idled.
Ooh, and the crossbow's dealing a lot of damage here against the elephant, and one elephant going down. I mean, it's not crossbows, Owlatrice for the French. And so another elephant. So the crossbow's doing a really good job here dealing with the elephants. Now we see the scholars moving out, but way too late in order to save that one. Just getting sucked into the ground here, and French can't really contest that with the knights, but Owlatrice is still doing fine. Now numbers in favor for KnockKnock, so he is able to push Myriad off. And he will, with the village fortresses, he will be able to close that village, which he, by the way, was able. He killed quite a lot of villagers here, apparently. 19, oh
yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. Just right now, the raid, because like I said, the villagers from that gold are a lot, very low health. So even a few Ghazis were able to kind of get a lot of kills to kind of finish the job in terms of the raid. Yeah, I mean, look, Myriad has been taking not the best fights, and he's still not in a bad position per se. Like you said, there is the village fortresses, but it's not going to be. Oh, actually, it's actually almost what, 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes until that comes in. Actually, because of the raid, now the villager count is even, so KnockKnock's actually in a better position right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just the unfortunate timing between, there was a fight here while KnockKnock was doing the raid, and so with the attack notifications, Myriad wasn't really, you know, like aware of what was happening in his base here, and lost that was I believe it was 14 villager kills in just this short period, and yeah, so definitely an even playing field right now. I mean, we do have the Sacred Victory approaching, but that's gonna be another 9 minutes, so I don't think that's gonna factor in. But yeah, great job by KnockKnock getting back into the game.
Yeah, if you're Myriad, you're probably very, upset with the way things turned out right after KnockKnock aged up, right? KnockKnock, to his credit, he was able to divert a lot of those knights away from his base with those Ghazis, right? Because in a straight up fight, the Ghazis are not going to do much because you have a lot of knights from Feudal, from Myriad, because of the pro scale advantage. But by running around the opponent's base, KnockKnock was able to kind of divert some of the attention and the units away. So then, Myriad wasn't able to kind of do as much damage, or even any damage, because I don't think he even got a single villager kill, while KnockKnock's able to kind of pump those castle units and the elephant out. So yeah, right now, I mean, the military count, the villager count, even though it's probably even, but right now we have village fortresses ready. You just kind of, KnockKnock has to kind of realize and queue villagers, but remember, this is not even compounded with the defender, so it's just kind of, you still get all the House of Learning techs, and you get the village fortresses, right? So KnockKnock's putting himself in an excellent position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as soon as he starts using that and actually produce villagers, he's gonna, like, he's very even now in terms of villagers, and then he can actually grow a lead. Which he will need. I mean, he definitely, like, I do get that he wants to have the berries here, but it's really difficult because he doesn't really have the map control right now. Needs to be careful. Lost a couple villagers here, so really needs to be careful. Yeah, some more here as well. So Myriad doing a good job in counter raiding, trying to kill as many villagers as possible. And so we definitely need to have some villager production here by KnockKnock. And maybe he's just not aware of that the upgrade finished, because it does take a while. And then by the time it finishes, you already forgot that you were researching it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened, because I was even surprised at how fast it's gonna it was going. It was like a minute or something, and it's probably pretty normal that KnockKnock doesn't. It feels like it probably shouldn't have been done by now, but I think he'll realize soon. He'll start producing villagers, and remember, there's 2 keeps and another TC. It's going to be 3 TC, and he's continuing to mine stone. Myriad does put up a second TC, but like I said, at this point, the relic advantage, not even the advantage, just kind of the entirety of all the relics in the game, KnockKnock has. Yeah, the only thing going for Myriad is just sites, but like I said, I'm not sure about the army situation. There's 9 knights out in there. Does he have the text for the arbitrary? Oh, he does. He does have gambesons. He doesn't have crossbow stirrups, which is really important in the situation.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying to catch up right now. He's very low on gold right now, and so he's just trying to catch up. I mean, if you think about like 1/5 basic or 1/4 of his gold income is because of the sacred sites. So he's very limited in terms of what he can actually do with that, and you can tell by just the way, with his eco tax, military tax, as well as with his unit choices. Now going in with some horsemen. Which I feel like when you're building or producing horsemen with French, that's kind of like a dead giveaway that it's not going the way you expect the game to be.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Royal Bloodlines, right, or the Royal Institute, right? Because Royal Institute is the landmark that you go, you just throw it all on the field with the knights and kind of superior units. Doesn't even matter what the opponent makes. Spearman, crossbow doesn't matter. You just have pseudo imperial knights kind of situation. But horsemen are probably more of a. I have a lot of food, especially maybe even from the guild hall, and I'm gonna age up anyways. I'm gonna upgrade my horseman kind of thing. That's kind of the situation where horsemen are pretty good for Myriad, especially in. For French in the Imperial Age. But right now, KnockKnock's able to put it. I mean, he didn't have to wait that long. He decided to push out with more than, I think, 7 minutes remaining on the timer, so he didn't really need to push up at this point. But he just felt that his advantage was enough. And he's actually, I mean, great raise from KnockKnock.
Yeah.
Just kind of putting French on the Myriad on his toes. No walls from Myriad because he can't really afford it. He needs those farms up. KnockKnock's able to get some farm transition going, and with all these keeps as TCs, he's going to be able to, scale his economy much better.
Yeah, and he is producing at least a little bit from those keeps, and so he is able to, or will be able to close the gap kind of soon. Now is decapturing the sacred side, and I mean that fight here in the middle, like. Turned completely inside KnockKnock's favor. The army value, I mean, we do have to discount the scholars because they do count for the military value, but they don't necessarily produce value. But still way in favor for KnockKnock right now. I would say it's probably 10,000
down south. Down south, Myriad was actually kind of vacuuming up those berries just beside the. And I was like, what is, if KnockKnock realizes this, it's not going to be a pretty kind of situation. But he actually gets eats the berries, and he's on his way back anyways. He's probably going to lose a few villagers. But, I mean, Myriad needed that food, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then it's also the situation that you take it away from your opponent, and especially taking it from Delhi feels good. So it's kind of like I need it, and I don't want my opponent to have it, and so generally a good thing, and definitely valuable for him. And Ghazi Raiders, I think it got like 2 or 3 villager kills, so it's fine overall. Like that's not gonna end the game for Myriad, but not having food would end it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in these situations, you gotta take risks, right? You gotta, I hope your opponent doesn't realize. Because I mean, if I'm KnockKnock, I would never guess in a million years that my opponent's getting 20 villagers down at the berries. I would not check that.
No.
So sometimes it's kind of good those risks. Now, You did. Yeah, I mean, it's true that you kind of want to take it away from your opponent, but at this point, I don't even think KnockKnock needs that berries because he's going with his farm transition and he's producing villagers out of what 4 or 5 keeps. His economy is scaling a lot. He has a good food income. His wood income is also pretty decent. The only problem with his comp in terms of KnockKnock is that he's going to be a little annoyed in terms of chasing away the raiding party, but I think he should be fine in the long run. We do see Myriad getting a keep up on that southern site. KnockKnock has a trebuchet already, so if he's able to deal with this raid and he just kind of focuses on his efforts, he will be in a great position. There's Ghazi's nearby. He doesn't see. I don't. Yeah. Oh, now he does. But it might be too late.
Saw that. Or maybe he did. But yeah, I mean, it's way too late anyway. He can get a couple kills, and that's gonna be it. And the thing is, he doesn't need to be too concerned about the keep anyway, because as you said, he already has the trebuchet. And so the thing is, like, for me, if I see something like that, I'm like, oh great, he's just wasting 900 stone. I'll just trap it down. No problem at all. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the problem is KnockKnock's entire army almost was at base, kind of dealing with a few horsemen. So the treb, or one of the trebs, was going down. But yeah, like you said, because the economy is so much in KnockKnock's favor, he's going to be able to produce a lot more trebs and should be fine. Now he's walling up because he doesn't want to deal with these horsemen, because it's just like 5 horsemen. Doesn't really do much, but you have to divert so much of your army or intention away that. It becomes a nuisance. So he's just gonna wall up, feel safe, continue to get his economy pumping, and he's gonna then focus all of his efforts in that middle site, kind of do a siege push, which Myriad should find pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah, but again, yeah, trebuchet is again not being guarded by any kind of units. Losing 3 traps, that's gonna die as well. So that is quite expensive, throwing away so many resources, and Myriad has trap of his own as well, 2 at least. So he'll be able to deal with that keep. I mean, kind of difficult with the stealth force to actually see it. But I mean, if he has vision at least, then he will be able to deal with that.
Yeah, finally, KnockKnock's able to kind of culminate all of his, or put all of his units in the same place. There's some crossbow mass coming back still, but now he also has 2 mangoes. Myriad can't win a straight up fight, so that's why he was raiding, which was doing a good job in terms of distracting. But once that dedicated or focused, all-in push, not all-in, like just strong push, siege push happens, Myriad's gonna have a really tough time, and it looks like KnockKnock is able to do that right now. There's 4 trebs out in the field, and he lost like 5 already, so yeah. KnockKnock doesn't care. He's got the eco, he's gonna bump those siege away.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're looking at the resources, I mean, Myriad is floating a ton of gold, and so he could actually do a lot more with the resources that he has. He has a ton of wood as well, while KnockKnock is not having a lot of resources, and so you could say he's doing a good job at spending the resources, but at the same time he doesn't have any resources, and so he can't really produce as many villagers as he would like to, and the villager count is still pretty much in favor for Myriad. I mean, while I'm saying that, he's equalizing that with all the villager kills here. That's pretty brutal.
Every time we say something, Myriad unfortunately loses a bunch of vills.
Yeah, it's
but he wasn't able to decamp this site actually, the one that he put a keep on. So the timer continued. Oh, do we have a timer? No,
we don't have a timer
right top now. One, right?
But yeah, I think it's a little bit of an oversight here by Myriad to not decapture that sacred site. But yes, people, it is actually indeed Yak. We got him. We were able to convince him to join us for this Warchief Club casting. And so, as it has been mentioned like 50 times already, I'm not personally attacked by that. Don't worry. I don't feel threatened. It's okay.
It is actually me, guys.
It is.
I mean, this was a lot of back and forth swing of who has the advantage in this game, as a roller coaster of situations, I would say. But I still kind of feel like KnockKnock has a better position, but Myriad's able to hold out with the eco. And like you said, the food situation is actually better for Myriad at this point. It's mostly farms as well, right? So he's in a good position there. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, Royal Institute hurts, but it is what it is at this point. Maybe, yeah, maybe KnockKnock's not able to produce from his keeps just because it's annoying.
Yeah.
Because when you do all TCs, it doesn't do it. It's something I struggle with. Yeah, so one keep is idle, second keep is idle, or now he's getting, but the TC is never idle, so it might be
No.
a hockey situation. Not sure.
Yeah, it's difficult. I was just trying to go through like F1 to F4. You can switch through different buildings, but you don't get the keeps actually. So that's very, very annoying.
Oh, you have a flank.
What a flank here. That is textbook flanking. While the Abolitres are shooting at the villagers here, trying to deny
No
the
spears
outposts.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, just
loses all of the
distinct
trebuchets.
lack of spears here. Just a lot of crossbows here for Delhi, and that's mainly it. And so that the horsemen are actually doing a lot of damage here. Arbalitraries closing in, moving as well. And so that's like probably like the 15th trebuchet that KnockKnock lost during this game.
It might be actually 15. Doesn't sound unrealistic at this point. I think we lost the first one, and then 5 more, and then yeah.
Another 3 or so more. So it's close to 10. 15 is maybe a stretch, but I would say it's 10 trebuchets by now. And so yeah, not showing those,
yeah, I mean, remember,
those structures a lot of
these
love.
Arbs are they have crossbow syrups, right? It's not just, you know, your own institute kind of is not a feels good moment when you have this longer game, but these crossbows are excellent in terms of DPS. Horsemen and Arbs are kind of the comp right now, and they're no knights, but they still get what, extra 50 something health from the royal bloodlines, so they're pretty good. They're over 200 health. And Myriad, like we see, was able to use his army much more effectively, catching KnockKnock off guard. Earlier, he was able to raid, kind of distract, and he's actually teching up with the Red Palace up top just to secure some gold. And actually, Myriad's in a good position after everything is said and done.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was kind of waiting. So KnockKnock in the last couple of minutes, he went from 800 food per minute to close to 2,000. So that's very, very good. And now he can finally start thinking about Imperial Age. But while he is still thinking about that, Myriad is actually doing that. So the Red Palace, I like the positioning. It's basically securing 3 different golds here and the stone. And then he can, like, once that keep is gone, he can build some military production around that, get the nice discount that the French get, you know. And so a great position here with the Red Palace. Not to mention that, of course, now he can get some real imp upgrades as well. And so yeah, KnockKnock now he has to find the victory, second victory approaching, but needs to make a decision quickly about whether to or not go to Imperial Age soon.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is that Myriad was actually struggling in terms of gold access. We do see a lot of the golds on the map being keep. You know, there's keeps on them from KnockKnock. So both the big gold veins, there's keeps. Some of the smaller ones, I think, yeah, in front of the base. So other than the gold vein that is in his base, Myriad didn't have access to any gold, so it's probably going to be problematic on the long run. But right now, he's able to, you know, secure at least some of the gold. We do see KnockKnock going up to Imperial as we speak. Like you said, that farm transition was able to kick in, and now he has 2k food income per minute. So, but Myriad's just fighting. You're just killing more trebs. If you're a treb, this game is not good for you, okay? You do not want to be in this game.
yeah, you really don't want to be there. But yeah, so Myriad being able to push KnockKnock away, and so we see the difference that it makes. So now, you know, like KnockKnock had to stop producing units for like a minute or so, and you can really tell in the last fight that he was hurting that. And now the issue is, yes, he reached Imperial Age, but Myriad already got his elite upgrades. So he does have the elite Avalanches, the elite Horsemen, he doesn't even have the elite upgrades right now for the knights because he's not going for the knights at the moment anyway. Um, and meanwhile,
Yeah,
it's gonna
which is
take forever, 6 minutes for the elite upgrades here
yeah.
for KnockKnock.
Yeah, and KnockKnock's not fully walled up. Let's remember this 5, 6, 7 horseman raid was a big problem earlier on, and Myriad can just keep doing that at this point. The other thing is, 14 scholars is not the most efficient. I mean, especially with Dome of Faith, you probably want a little more in terms of Deli Imp. And another reason why Myriad's probably not going for the Knights right now, there's no reason to, right? There's the Horsemen are doing a plenty of good job. You have plenty of food. You have almost 3K income in terms of your farms. And your gold is not, I mean, you have access right now, but, you don't have trade, you don't have relics or anything like that, so you don't want to, you don't have Guild Hold, so you don't want to risk it. So I think it's a good play for Myriad just to focus in on the units that he has and try to gain tempo that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm not... maybe not as much anymore, but like when I started playing Age of Empires 4, I was really opposed to the Horsemen just because I was looking at the stats. I'm like, why would you ever go for the Horsemen unless you don't have any gold left? Which, of course, is a very limited perspective on what the Horsemen can do and cannot do. And so, yeah, to your point, it makes absolute sense to go for the Horsemen. And then also, like, they do also benefit from the royal bloodline, so it's not only the royal knights. I think that's also something that gets overlooked very quickly and very easily. And so yeah, why not save up the gold? You need it for the upgrades, you don't have a ton to spend, and then just spam horsemen like crazy. He can have like 5,000, 6,000 food right now. Imagine how many horsemen that would be. That's like 60 horsemen. Just spend it. Why not?
Yeah, like you said, there's no limit to how many horsemen you can make at this point, but the knights are a risky play, especially because you need gold for all those upgrades. You're not Delhi, you're not getting it for free, and the horsemen complement ARBs pretty well, I'd say, especially with those ranged elephants, right?
Yeah.
So and crossbows and the opponent's massing crossbows, so why not? The one thing I will say is that Myriad has been the one that is able to raid most of this game. On the second half of this game, we did see a lot of excellent raids in the early part of the game from KnockKnock, which is able to save him, obviously, from that death push and feudal. But he's going for that spearman crossbow comp, so that a lot of raid potential from KnockKnock was not there anymore. At this point, he's going for the Ghazi. Looks like. I mean, you're camping the opponent's production, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and it still takes like 4 more minutes for you to actually reach your imperial upgrades as Delhi, and so that's just something like KnockKnock knew that he couldn't hold on for 4 more minutes, or 3 or 4 more minutes. I don't know how long exactly. And so and another thing that the horsemen also do a lot better than the knights is dealing with the trebuchets and with siege in general. And so, like, yeah, there really was no point in going for the knights, and I think that's like one of the noob traps. It's like, oh, I have to play French, or I'm playing French. I have to go for the Royal Knights, and I cannot do anything else. Which no, that's not true. Like you can go for horsemen. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, don't feel ashamed.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean,
if you look at the military count, this is the story of this game. Ups and downs and ups and downs. And the story of this game, another aspect is the power of distracting raids, I would say, because both, for both players, small raids here and there have been excellent, just to distract the opponent, kind of divert their army away. Now, if you see the Myriad had a pretty big lead in terms of army in the feudal age. Now you can't really see it because the game has gone too long, but then KnockKnock had that incredible, in terms of numbers, incredible lead. Myriad pushed that second TC, and I do say it's a lot of it is not producing from those keeps. It's just because in terms Myriad only had 2 TCs and KnockKnock had like 5 at that point, so the villager count's a little too even for that. But just kind of good fights later in the game, and French, even with Royal Institute, was able to win this game.